Hi, everyone. I'm Miguel, co-founder and CEO of Otis AI, and welcome to the Rapid Returns Show powered by MeetOtis.com. Today, I have Ethan from Amify. He's the founder of the company, and he's with me on the show. And we're going to share with us, he's going to share with us some expert insights on scaling a startup through digital advertising and other channels. My challenge for today is to provide Ethan with a rapid returns tip to help scale your startup with digital advertising. So let's dive into the interview and understand more about the business. Uh, what was your original vision for Amity and how has it evolved as you scale?
Yeah, so I started Amify 13 years ago. We originally were a retailer on the Amazon platform. Our somewhat fun fact was we were one of the first sellers of pickleball paddles on Amazon in about 2011. But originally, and what Amify has always been about was about how can we help brands launch and then grow their sales on the Amazon platform. Over those years, we've definitely grown. We have about 80 employees headquartered in Cincinnati, Ohio. And we primarily work with larger brands that sell, quote, direct to consumer on the Amazon 3P platform. And they hire us because they realize selling on Amazon is difficult. It takes unique skill sets, and we can probably do it better and cheaper than them if they wanted to build out their own internal team.
Nice. That's a big pain point for these businesses. So can you describe the process you went through to identify your ideal customer profile and what makes your strategy of acquiring them unique?
Sure. So our ideal client profile are brands that want to sell, quote, direct to consumer on Amazon. When you think of Amazon, there's basically two business models. The first one is brand sells their product to a retailer, and that retailer sells to the end customer. We focus on brands who want to sell direct, and that means creating their own Amazon seller account and selling themselves on the Amazon platform. We think that's the future because by using middlemen, they take away margin. They make it so the brands are more difficult for one-to-one interaction with their clients, and they also lose a lot of data. And so we thought like selling direct on Amazon is the future. And then we focus on the larger brands. Usually these brands are selling over $3 million a year on the Amazon platform. That is kind of the sweet spot where they can afford high quality service, but if done right, can really 2, 5, 10x their business. And so we focus on that one area rather than a whole bunch of little small brands. So we are the high quality, comprehensive solution for many of these brands on Amazon. And we let a lot of kind of low cost, low quality competitors go after the small little mom and pop brands.
Amazing. And how do you currently acquire those brands? Do you leverage any digital advertising and how do you measure the success on that?
Yeah, so we generally get brands through three different ways. The first one is like referrals and word of mouth. We've been doing this for 13 years. We have some great clients, and they recommend us to some of their friends. Secondly, we do a lot of work on SEO and blog writing to really kind of be a thought leader on the Amazon space. And then third, we do use like Google AdWords and some LinkedIn advertising to help us get us in front of people searching for Amazon agency or some keywords like that.
Great. So how do you target the right kinds of decision makers on those kinds of platforms?
So I think the thing with us is that we know exactly who our target clients are. There's about 20,000 brands on Amazon that sell over 3 million that our services would be good for. We can try to find those people on LinkedIn and reach out to them that way. Usually the decision maker is CEO, VP of sales, VP of e-commerce level person who would be leading the Amazon discussions.
So is it based on roles? Is that the way that you primarily target those channels, looking for those roles and looking for those kinds of decision makers based on their positions?
I say from an outbound marketing portion, yes. Obviously, inbound's a little bit different. You get referred to probably the right person from friends. This is a business where if someone's actually looking for a partner, then they can we'll go that route. But if from an outbound perspective, it would be step one is identify brands that would be good customers for us. Step two is identify who those right people are at those brands. And step three is then create a strategy to reach out to them and try to provide them content or something that might get them interested in talking with us.
That's great. You have a lot of touch points. And what does the sales cycle look like for a particular customer?
I'd say it's twofold. Group number one has an immediate need where they need to make a decision quickly. This can happen if, hey, they're about to launch a new product or their current Amazon. Oftentimes what happens is their current Amazon person internally is leaving and they need to say, oh my gosh, we need to have someone managing our Amazon account and it needs to start in 2 weeks. So we have a lot of deals that close in 2 weeks. The second group is kind of the longer term, no timeline. Those sales cycles are usually 2 to 3 months long. They're usually, hey, we realize there's a need. We're going through like a full RFP process. We want to talk to 10 different partners and narrow them down to the ones that might make the most sense. Those are usually kind of a 2-month sales process.
And given the length of those sales cycles, varying lengths for each type of customer, how do you manage attribution on some of those channels? So you mentioned you have an outbound strategy, and you also might be running inbound campaigns on channels such as LinkedIn or Google. How do you look at the attribution there, and how do you tie it back to closed deals for your business?
So you're asking, when we look at all the closed deals that we have, which ones are, how do we attribute like the channels that we got them through outbound, inbound, referrals?
Yes, exactly.
So for our business, if we close, 20 new clients a year, that's a successful business for us. Our business partners tend to pay us more money, and they tend to be bigger. And so the attribution analysis, so it's fewer deals, but larger in revenue. And so the attribution analysis, we try to look over long time periods because, it's not thousands of small little customers. It's a smaller number of large customers. In any one quarter, I think looking at it can be a little bit off. So we look over longer periods of time, and then we try to make some assumptions from there. But it's a individual client by client basis rather than, hey, here's 1,000 people and let's attribute it that way. If that makes sense.
Makes sense. And so I guess on that point, how do you prioritize allocating your advertising budget on different initiatives? Is it based on the feedback that you get when closing a customer, or do you have different ways of allocating that spend?
So from like a Google AdWords perspective or something like that, it's all about how much are we spending and how many what we'd call marketing qualified leads that we get from it. It's hard to then transition those marketing qualified leads into conversions just because of the sales cycle. But also, again, like we're not signing up huge numbers of new clients. So the way that we've primarily done it was like, hey, which keywords are yielding marketing qualified leads, and which is like the kind of the cost per acquisition for those marketing qualified leads. We currently don't, other than from a gut perspective, take that marketing qualified lead and then say, oh, this is a high quality marketing qualified lead versus a low quality marketing qualified lead.
Makes a lot of sense. And do you have any advice for other companies or startups looking to scale their business with digital advertising? I think this also comes from the perspective that you're an solution for these types of Amazon companies as well. So what kind of tips would you give them to grow their business based on the experience that you have, both growing your business and also serving those customers to increase their Amazon sales?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing from my perspective is you just have to be very, very, very clear on what your ideal client profile is, and then very, very clear on how you're different from the competition. It's very easy to say, hey, we help brands on Amazon. You know, Amify has realized that our sweet spot is we help, you know, larger, sophisticated brands with real revenue on Amazon that want to sell direct to consumer on the 3P channel get better. And so like the more specific you can be and the more differentiated you can be, I think allows you to have a market niche where you can then productize your company around and then become better than the competition who claims to do everything for, you know, everybody.
Yeah, that's super important, having a product market and product channel fit for a business, and that's going to allow them to scale. So I'd like to give you your rapid returns tip of the day. So I think we talked about, how the business has varying sales cycles. You have to reach decision makers at larger companies, and this can be very challenging. On outbound channels, you're able to generate lists of these decision makers and reach them very effectively through email and other sources. And you're also running the LinkedIn and Google ads as well. And from what I understand, those are mostly prospecting channels where you're looking for people with high intent and also targeting for specific roles in LinkedIn and using other targeting strategies there. One thing I would recommend in conjunction with what you're doing on the outbound side, you have access to a lot of first party data of the customers and the decision makers that you're able to use in your outbound strategies. So I think combining it with very targeted audiences, using the data to create targeted audiences of these decision makers can be a good strategy, not only on the existing channels such as LinkedIn and Google, but we also see that it's a great strategy for B2B advertising on other channels as well, such as meta channels or even channels such as TikTok, which might be surprising to hear from a B2B marketing perspective, but being able to accurately target those profiles where they're online can help, especially if they're in your CRM already and you want to target them and get them to the next stage of the funnel. So we would definitely recommend using the data that you have on people within your funnel, decision makers that you have, and using it to run these targeted campaigns with a multi-channel approach so that you can reach those decision makers everywhere they're online and continuously surfacing those pieces of sales enablement material that you have, that very rich content in different ways so that they have a higher level of conversion. So that's what I think is some broadening the strategy with multi-channel ads that are very precise, that use the first party data of the decision makers to very accurately target those people. I think that's going to lead to even more success for the marketing strategy.
Great. Well, thank you guys. Thanks for your time.
Yes, thank you for coming on. So I appreciate the time learning about the business and also learning about your experience growing and scaling. So if you found this interview or rapid returns tip helpful, leave a comment below, and remember that when you sign up with Otis, we'll match your first month's advertising spend. So every dollar that you spend with us will match this investment. Thank you, and thank you for watching the show.